This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
You know how sometimes the first play of the game can be a real tone setter?
Aussie.
Yeah, I basically just went with Ashton Jen Teabag.
NFL.
He's not a walking 7 for 70 as I learnt last week when he went 1 for 5.
Fantasy.
I'd probably lean towards taking Henry maybe ahead of McCaffrey just because of what I've seen.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Loading.
Australia's premier NFL fantasy show is back with thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network. This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. They call me Matty C, and joining me is Australia's finest fantasy analyst. His name's Talor Goodall. Mate, welcome back.
Let's fucking go.
Strap in, it's Ian from G'day Gridiron.
Thank you very much, Matty.
Fellas, the reason we all came together today, that's probably a dick joke, is for a mock draft. Are you guys ready to mock draft?
I'm so ready, Matty. Absolutely erect is what I am.
I am ready to draft your mock.
Let's do it. Of course, we do all our mock drafting on the Sleeper app, and you can find that. Play Sleeper is their handle on Instagram. You can find them sleeper.com. We tend to use that for just everything through the season for those who've just joined us too when it comes to players' rankings and scores and how we get data from fantasy football. It all comes from standard PPR leagues on Sleeper. What we are drafting today, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, kicker defense, 7 bench in a PPR format. That is what we are after today. And the way it's going to roll out is that we've got 4 heads in the draft. You've got the 3 who you're already acquainted with, and those are being picked at Ian at number 5, Talor at number 6, Matty C at number 8. We've got computer going to pick in team 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, and 10. And then a sneaky 4th who's just wedged themselves in between Talor and I at pick 7. And that is going to be selected, although not on the podcast, but picking at the same time as us, the man, the myth, the legend, John Melly is going to be picking for number 7. So it'll be interesting to see what he does because he really needed to get his fantasy brain in. So I'm like, hey, you need to come pick a team. And he said, yeah, okay. That sounds like him. That was not an impersonation. That was an actual recording.
Super growly. But what we'll do as well is we'll chuck this on our socials, the mock draft, just so everyone can sort of have a look and they can vote for who they want, whatever. But it's just more about getting it out there. It's starting to be mock draft season, and just as a backup, obviously the episode on the podcast, we'll chuck it up and just see what everyone has to say about our teams.
I love mock drafts.
Hand on heart. I have done no 10-team mock drafts at all coming into this because I wanted this to be a genuine first go. Tate?
Yeah, I haven't done any. All I've done is 16 teams because I generally like to mock draft at essentially the hardest to really get a look at the values in fantasy this year. So that's why I kind of hold off from the 10 teamers because if anything, going from a 16 team to a 10 might actually feel pretty easy. But it's not so much about the ease of it, it's about working out the best values and sort of the best strategy and how early you might take a onesie position in a 10-team league compared to a 16.
Yeah, look, and Ian, have you had a crack at any mock drafts this year either? Are we all virgins?
No, 0. What? Absolute 0. I said earlier I can't get around you guys that just jerk off about fantasy in March. But, you know, it is. Mate. It is. I know you can't. Neither of you can help yourself.
To be honest.
Yeah. Neither you can. I just don't get around it. But anyway, it's just how I am.
And we know Manjot hasn't done bugger all. When it comes
I'm in for all mock drafts, though. If any of my friends say, hey, let's do a mock draft, yes. The answer is yes. As long as I'm sitting there around my phone that we can do it, the answer is yes. Always yes.
Well, without further ado, we're going to get 90 seconds on the clock when it is time to be on the clock.
Lord, why would we give a Manjot that long?
Yeah, well, it's so we can talk about our picks. Number 1 pick, Saquon Barkley. Number 2, Bijan Robinson. Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb go 3-4. Puts Ian on the clock. Tell us about your decision here. Who are you looking at?
You know what? I'm a little intrigued by some of the guys up the top, and there's a lot of, obviously, wide receivers, good wide receivers there. So I think the easiest thing is to sort of just keep moving because they're pretty easy guys to talk about. Like Jefferson, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka even, all right up there. Top running backs as well. I think the easiest and the smartest option right now being at 5 as well, because it'll get back around to be an even time, is probably just go Jefferson, and that's where I'm going.
I mean, that's a correct answer, you'd say, Tate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
You can't go in. There's no incorrect answer with that pick.
Jefferson Gus drops to me. That's what I'm taking. But I don't mind this spot. There's a lot of guys. You just mentioned Gibbs, St. Brown. You got Nakua, Neighbours around this section. I am definitely in on Jameer Gibbs this year. I mean, I've kind of always been in on him, but I actually do like the situation. And even though Ragnar retired, I don't think it hurts him. If anything, it's kind of okay for him because I think he hits the edge more than I think it hurts Monty a bit more because he's going to go right down the middle, whereas I think Gibbs is going to get to the outside. This offense is, loses Ben Johnson, but it's still going to be prolific. I just think Gibbs is going to get even more involved in his third year. Like, I just think moving forward, he's just going to be so important to that. So I'm going to take Jameer Gibbs.
All right. And there is the selection. So that's 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers through 6 picks. And we've got Manjot on the clock now. Be interesting to see which direction he goes. And I think this is the stage where there is definitely sort of 8 or 9 guys who we're just expecting to see go in the first round pretty much. And really, I think the second round is where it's going to get fruity and fun. Because I don't know that there is a lot of wrong answers. And in a Matty Minute I did this week, I reckon there was probably as many as 6 different players you could pick at number 1, and people wouldn't necessarily go, ooh. So it'll just be interesting to see where it goes.
I'll just say, too, know your league, and the fact it's full PPR made the Gibbs pick even more likely. And, yes, people might say, that means you should go wide receiver. But I actually think locking up a pass-catching running back actually means more because then you're obviously adding on top of the normal running back numbers even more, whereas I'm going to get good value in a full PPR on wide receivers later anyway. So it's all relative. So I like going the pass-catching running backs early.
Now, I'm in a position where usually I love taking a first-round running back, but I'm going to try something a little different here, and I'm going to lean and take a wide receiver. We're pretty big on the Rams. Tay and I both are big on the Rams, and I'm going to just lean in and take the guy who's next on the list anyway, but he has been my number 4 wide receiver. He's currently the 5th wide receiver to be taken, which makes him value to me, is Puka Nakua. I'm going to take him. Immediately after him goes Malik Neighbours, Nico Collins to wrap out the first round. Into the second round, Derek Henry and Drake London go. Very early for Drake London. That puts him at wide receiver 8. Ooh, that's a bit spicy for me. But we've only seen 3 running backs go in the first round and a 4th to go. And this is the spot where I'm now going to take a running back because there's a couple of guys here in the range I like. Between Ashton Gianti, who looks really primed to take up a lot of volume, and I don't know how people feel about this, but I think if Christian McCaffrey plays all 17, God knows what his ceiling is. But he's the oldest 29-year-old running back I've ever met, so I don't know what his floor is. There's a couple of options here depending on how risky I feel. Dan, you were going to say?
No. I was just laughing at you and Christian McCaffrey because we just don't know if he's going to play the entire season. And you really won't know I think even midway through the season, you're still not going to know. Unless he's like pulling out like the massive numbers he was a couple of years ago.
You might not know. And I'm going to err on the side of, if this is the oldest 29-year-old bloke I know, he's essentially turned into Debo of running backs, then I'm going to skip over him. I'm going to take Ashton Gianti. The other running back in that range was Devon Achane, and I'm nervous about that Miami offense. They have not looked the same since about midpoint last year. I'm going to take Gianti, and we'll see what the change of everything in Vegas does for him. Any surprises? What happened next?
Not at all. To be fair, I would have taken CMC for sure if he got to me. I'll be on you. Go past Manjot, but I just think again the full PPR nature of this bodes well for a pass catching running back, and I just think CMC in this situation is actually an even better pick because he's going to catch so many passes. So yes, it's a huge risk in terms of his injury, but in the end, if you're trying to win your fantasy league, you've just got to assume health and go for the best player available.
I'm not surprised by Manjot either. He's got Amon-Ra and CMC now, and they're 2 of his boys. He's always high on those guys, regardless of where they are. Anyway, it's not just the 49ers thing.
And the fact he could get CMC there was perfect. I will split my first picks here because, like you, Matty, like you and I are always kind of a little bit off our chin. Like we just got that concern about Miami's offense, like where it comes from. Is Tua going down? All of a sudden, A-Chan's a running back 25, and you've picked him up in the second round. I'm just gonna take my highest ranked wide receiver here and go AJ Brown. I just think the value on him there is insane.
I love AJ Brown there. I've got the ick with the Dolphins at the moment. That's the thing. I've just got the ick. That's what young people are saying, right? Yeah. The ick.
I got the ick.
I've heard young people I work with say things like this, and I think I understand what that means.
That's great, mate. Like AJ Brown would have been my pick there if he fell to me. So now you've made a interesting decision. I was mulling over while you were speaking, a little bit easier. So I think I'm going wide receiver again. You know what? I'm going to go with the young guy. Or am I? Yes, I am. I'm going to go with a young guy. I'm going to go the lad. Second year in, I think he'll be a lot better, and I kind of like that pick.
The 11th wide receiver off the board. So it leaves you with Jefferson McConkey. Immediately after that, Brian Thomas goes, and Brock Bowers, the first tight end. Bucky Irving and Devon Achane wrap out the round. So that's 7-8 running backs now and 12 wide receivers. Josh Allen is first to go in the third round, then followed by Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's the 13th wide receiver. Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor also in the third round here before we come back to Ian. Your two wide receivers there, and we've just seen two running backs go right in front of you. Or is this zero RB territory? Are you going to lean in, or do you have a guy you like here?
I'm just having a bit of a look around, actually, just to see who is sort of at the top there with the guys that I like before I jump onto stuff. Because all of the QBs
Murray is still available from earlier.
All the QBs, that's right. All the QBs are still there, so I can still go Kyler Murray.
I think Josh Allen went, so there is one off.
Yeah, so one is gone. You know what? I'm going to go with the inspiration I've got anyway, and I am going to go the guy who needs to get signed. Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. There's we talked about taking the value you like at wide receiver. It's not so much a
pays the man. Anyway, sorry.
I love McLaurin. I love him.
Matty, you obviously look at this and see the conundrum I'm in. I've talked up these two guys in my running back rankings and literally flipped them, over the last few days. I am going to take Kyron. I can't go past him a lot. The O-line's awesome. That Rams offense is going to be amazing this year. I do like myself some Chase Brown too, obviously. Yeah. But I've said it's silly for me not to take him after I've just chatted to you about the mock drafts and that I've always taken Kyron over Chase. I just got a little bit of it there. It's honestly about offensive line with me. This is what I do with running back a lot in the preseason when I draft. And the fact is the Bengals have the worst in the league and the Rams have basically the ranked O-line. It's just such a big difference.
I mean, I love that pick. Of course I love that pick. He's my seventh running back, and here we are about 9 deep. He came around. I'm going to take him. Manjot goes ahead and takes... Do you want to take the floor on this one?
Oh, Manjot. I don't know. Oh, I'm going to give that a poo emoji to start with. I don't know.
I'll give it a poo emoji.
I am not high on the Dolphins at all this season.
I think us there.
Hey?
I think you're with us there. We're just about HN, and HN has the least... Like, he gets volume anyway, just in the passing game, even when the team sucks. So I'll be more worried about Hill.
My
babies.
My problem is what happens when Tua goes down.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And at the moment, their fantasy football depth chart has no QB2.
Yeah, that's
no solid QB2. So it scares the shit out of me doing anything around the Dolphins right now. Yeah. So that's just a big call. But cool. Leagues are won on big calls, aren't they, Matty?
No, they are, and they're also. It's hard to win your league on draft day. It is easy to lose it. So it's a ballsy call. And I've gone and taken Taylor's stepped over Chase Brown, which I think is correct. But I've taken him.
I'm more laughing at who went before your next pick.
Yes, I'm a bit dirty about that.
So what's happened here? Trey McBride and Lamar Jackson finish out the third round, kick off the fourth round. And I played this game, Tay, and I lost. I just fucking lost. Let's just say it. T. Higgins goes at fourth round, first pick. Then Mike Evans goes to Team 9. Now, Team 9 have Malik Neighbours and Drake London, Trey McBride, and they're going hard 0 RB because they've gone and taken Mike Evans. And, mate, I would sooner shoot and step over family members than let anyone take Mike Evans. So I just lost there. I just lost.
Yep, that was my reaction. It wasn't so much that you took Chase Brown, because I like to pick, and someone would have taken Chase Brown anyway, even if it was a computer. But yeah, Mike Evans going right before you, it would have been the easiest pick of all time for you, because I know I'm high on him, and you're even higher than me.
Yeah. So what I've done, I'm just going back into the running back well again, because I've got this big conviction that I think running back hits a zone where I don't love it so much. And I call it a dead zone. Some people call it a value zone. But I'm in the mind that I don't like the running backs after a certain point for a while. And I'm just going to go and get running backs I like. It's with Breece Hall. And there's plenty of wide receivers and other positions for me. And that puts Manjot back on the clock. And while he mulls over at his team at the moment, is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian McCaffrey, and Tyreek Hill. Mine, I've got 4 players now. Puka Nacua was my first pick. Ashton Gianti, Chase Brown, and Breece Hall are my running backs. And that's the next pick. It's, again, I don't know that anyone will be surprised by what Manjot's doing here.
Like I mean, doubles up on the Niners in the first 4 rounds.
I talked about it earlier. I'm still not sure, but I understand more why this season. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I would have taken him. I was going to, at least because I'm always a low tight end strategist, pretty much in any league. But I actually feel like George Kittle has that upside to be worth it round. I would have done it. Obviously, Manjot, just being the Niners erection that he has gone and done it anyway.
Yeah, he has.
I love myself some Devontae Adams. I do get worried having the running back and a wide receiver in the same team. So I'm going to go a little bit away from that. And I'm going to take my boy I've talked up a bit in the preseason already, Matty, and get me Kenneth Walker.
Oh, Taylor.
And Kenneth Walker, I mean, there were folks commenting on that video we put up about Kenneth Walker on Instagram the other day. He's definitely going to stir a bit of emotion from people. To get him in the 4th round here, when you've got Jameer Gibbs, Kyron Williams, and now Kenneth Walker as your running backs, and AJ Brown as your wide receiver, you're looking really strong in your running backs.
Walker in this build is what I like a bit better, because he's my running back 3. And takes that injury risk out of it a little bit, and that is the biggest concern for him. I think if he's the kind of guy, if he plays 17 games, I think he could be awesome this year. So I'm trying to project health a little bit there.
Also puts a bit of pressure on Ian now, because you and I have taken running backs right in front of him, and probably what we think is going to be one of the better tight ends is also gone, and Ian's got 3 wide receivers. So it'll be interesting to see what direction you go here, Ian. And what do you think?
You've left me with a ridiculous decision. Because I feel like I'm just going to start filling a bench right now. Because, oh, God, I should just do it. I'm going to do it just to take it away from you guys, because I can't leave Devontae Adams sitting on a board. So filling a bench, I'm going wide receiver again. 4 wide receivers. Let's go. And then this time around, it's going to leave me with a big decision, because I need to make a decision somewhere else.
But like I said, if I didn't have Kyron, I'd have Adams. He'd be on my team. It's just that the first few rounds take
one ball, same offense. Yeah. I was also concerned there for a sec that you might have just gone, hey, you know what? Fuck it. It's difficult here. Let's double it down and get the stack with McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels went next. Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, and DJ Moore wrap out the 4th round. Then we come back around James Cook, who's the first running back taken since Kenneth Walker, Rashee Rice, Alvin Kamara, and then DK Metcalf, an old face in a new place, goes to team 4. Ian's back on the clock with his 4 wide receivers: Justin Jefferson, Landon McConkey, Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams. Mate, has this crystallized for you now? What's happening?
I'm going for another pass catcher, Matty.
He said pass catcher. He didn't say wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
I said pass catcher. I'm going for my boy, the actual Viking.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson.
Get a Viking clap out for that. Come on.
I don't mind it. He's 4th for me. I do worry. I do feel like the top 3 are a bit of a chasm in front of the rest in terms of tight end, but I don't hate it, because in a 10-teamer, I don't mind going the onesie positions a bit higher. And honestly, I'm kind of leading my own pick here. I was worried when you talked about going quarterback then, and then Ian might have put an idea in his head, only because I want the stack, and I'm going to Jalen Hurts with the AJ Brown stack.
Bang! Look at that.
No,
So
I think then Taylor, I went. The reason it was more Hawkinson, I think it's that theory that you had that I really loved last year, that the second year off the major injury, they really come forward in leaps and bounds.
I also think this Vikings offense is going to be very good. I think people are underselling McCarthy completely, and you and I have talked about that already, Ian. And I think Hawkinson's in for a very good year. Like I said, I do think the top three are a top three for a reason in the tight end, but like I said, I don't know if you have to chase value as much in a 10-team league. Find guys later anyway. So going and getting a onesie position like that I think could easily be in that top four, I've got no issue with it.
Yeah. Man, I would a little rattled here too, because while Hurts goes, he then goes and takes Mixon, and we know there was a bit of Mixon news with Chubb going there this week. That makes him his running back 2, Mixon and McCaffrey. Amon-Ra and Tyreek Hill are the wide receivers. George Kittle is his tight end. That's his 5 people at the moment. And I am in a position where I've got 3 running backs already, and I'm starting to look across the other positions, and I think nobody will be surprised at who I'm looking at for my wide receiver 2 here. I think Taylor will say it before I click it.
Yes. Cortland.
It had to be Cortland. He was there. He was right there.
Yeah, and this is the range I like him, right? So he's a little outside the top 20 at wide receiver. I've got him ranked 18. I'm not so concerned about the running game taking that completely over. I think he is there. Legitimate wide receiver 1. He's the only person Bo Nix is looking at with the ball when it comes to the passing game, and then we'll be passing. Chuba Hubbard goes next, and Zay Flowers wraps out the 5th round. Into the 6th round, James Conner, who we talked about being sneaky fun value, and Omarion Hampton, the other rookie running back we think is going to have some volume early or late. We don't quite know, but he's definitely the next most appealing rookie, goes at the 2nd pick in the 6th round. I would usually like to try and balance my team out and get a 3rd wide receiver here, but I kind of feel like I'm going to break from what I usually do here, because there's one guy left in a tier that I really kind of like at a position. And I've done a bit of swip around with my rankings lately, and I've just snuck Joe Burrow ahead of Baker Mayfield. And I'm going to go and take him. And it means I have Chase Brown, who is either going to run them in or catch a pass from Burrow, or Burrow passing him in. And I'm very comfortable with that. I'm just leaning on the Bengals offense, since the defense is going to be pus, absolute pus. So that's my quarterback done. I've got Joe Burrow, along with Ashton Gianti, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Cortland Sutton, and Puka Nakua, which puts Manjot, the myth, the legend, on the clock. His team, just really quickly: Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon. He's got George Kittle as his tight end, and he's gone ahead and taken Devonta Smith as his 3rd wide receiver, which brings Taylor up. Your team, real quick: Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker. Stack that bitch up with AJ Brown by taking Jalen Hurts. Where are you looking, Tay?
Yeah, it's kind of what Ian brought up earlier. It's like, the thing going through your head is that you want to fill out your starters as quick as possible when you haven't got a set position. Like I don't have a wide receiver 2 right now, but I'm kind of in this zone where I'm fine with a lot of guys right there at wide receiver. Yeah. I'm kind of happy waiting. And I think if I was building this team and this was a real team, I would probably rather just keep building my running back depth and situation. And there's just some guys around here that I like, and I do think it drops off a bit soon. So this is probably where I would take another running back, and I'm going to go and take Aaron Jones.
That's a 4th running back, and that is absurd to me that Aaron Jones is someone's 4th running back. Ian. He took him right before you. Are you okay?
No, not really. Because I would have taken him there 100%. So now I do have to have a little bit of a think about where I'm going, because I don't have a running back yet, and I was sort of looking around that position.
Yeah.
Do I trust the computer teams to not take some more of the running backs? Am I okay with that depth where they are? Probably.
In a world where you took Aaron Jones, that would give you Jefferson, Hawkinson, and Jones on the same fantasy offense, which is a bit risky.
Yeah, I would have too, yeah. But I would have been looking at that before I started picking.
With Niners and Ian with Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
weirdly,
think...
Tay, you and I, no Titans or Jags.
No, yeah, crazy that.
Wow,
Just
what
weird,
a surprise.
Note that. Quickly, someone write that down.
I am going my other fantasy darling, Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to get QB there and hope I can get some more running back depth once I get back around. And only two more went.
Yeah, fortune has smiled on you since Laporta and Pickens, Waddle and Williams. That's Jameson Williams went to wrap out the round. Olave and then RJ Harvey, who we think has copped a little bit of bad news that may or may not make his position a little more turbulent. Patrick Mahomes is the 7th quarterback off the board, and then David Montgomery goes right before Ian's next pick. So between a rookie and Montgomery, that probably hasn't dented your running back stocks terribly much. Not a great deal. There's a few guys here that I can really pick, and I need to decide pretty quickly on who that's going to be, based upon who's going to get a decent amount of ball where they are. And that's probably the biggest problem that I've got. There's still RB1s in the mix here. Yeah. And I think, you know what, I'm going to go the new. I would never pick this Patriots player before, but I'm going to go Travion Henderson because I like that kid, and I think he's going to have a pretty good future. And I think that they're going to just load him, basically.
The rookie running backs are in a good position this year. Like, we had a year off basically last year outside of Bucky Irving. I think they're going to be very relevant this year, a lot of them. I do wonder about New England, Tay, because they are not the most exciting offense in the world. I got a little bit worried there. Obviously, a crap ton of wide receivers started to go, which I'm not surprised. There's just sort of that area where people are just looking for depth, or like me, looking for a wide receiver too. There is one guy I've definitely looked at who was about 8 away that I was like, you know what, I'd be very happy with him. I've got him a lot higher than consensus. He is a rookie, and I am a bit higher than most, outside of probably Isaac, on this Panthers offense, and I'm going to take Ted McMillan. I honestly think it's far more relevant in redraft this year than a lot of people do. I don't know why he was getting sort of like a little bit of bad pub initially, but I'm already hearing different takes, and I'm hearing how good he's going in practice, and I'm just planting my flag real early that I think he is going to be a star in this league. Brad loves a bit of the Titty Mac, so man, I can see why from the same videos you would have seen this week or the last couple of weeks. And you can get a Titty Mac t-shirt in the merch store, linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. I just think it's the perfect receiver for Bryce Young. Like, yes. For people who are worried about Young, I would want a guy like Ted McMillan because he can go catch a contested ball. He's not this guy that needs separation. He can get it if he needs to, but he doesn't have to have it. And that's perfect for a guy who's ascending like Bryce Young, that even if he throws a ball that isn't perfect, McMillan can still go get it. Taylor, is it weird here while Matty thinks that I'm looking at who's left and I'm going, I need another running back, but there's still a lot of good wide receivers. Do I just take another one? I've got no issue, honestly, mate. Like, you take the value while it's there. Like, look, are you going to have to eventually start looking at running backs? Sure. But if you look at it and you go, I like 5 guys and there's only 6 picks before me where I go again, or 8 picks or whatever, just take the guy you like. Like, if you're filling out your bench, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, I haven't had to think too hard. I've got my pick locked away. We saw Manjot's gone and taken Quentin Judkins, who's the running back in Cleveland now. It'll be interesting to see how that backfield shakes out. I'm finally leaning into a Jag, and I'm going to go and take Travis Hunter because he will score points 2 ways. How much he gets defensively, I don't really care. I just know he's going to be out there a fair bit offensively because that team needed a damn wide receiver, and we went and drafted a damn wide receiver. Bo Nix goes immediately after, and Isaiah Pacheco wrap out the 7th round.
G'day Gridiron.
Anyone that hasn't joined us before, it's pretty simple. Let's kick it off, eh? Is everyone ready?
The 4 horsemen of NFL in Australia.
If the sound ever plays, the pick is officially in.
Nick the lineman.
So it's the worst against any team, and it's also the worst passer rating that he has against any team at 66.3.
Brad the coach.
The Steelers have held the Ravens under 20 points in 7 straight games.
Isaac the analyst.
For this one, I couldn't understand it either. Like, I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Ian the Viking.
Full of passion, full of fight. They might genuinely be interesting to watch again.
Previews, overreactions, and bloody best bets.
If Derrick Henry can get rolling, then I think it's no contest. The Ravens are going to win.
As a fan of the NFL, you hope he comes back because he's just an absolute beast when he gets on there.
That would be able to give, at least Justin Fields a chance to be able to build.
Let's move on after that insanity.
So I just think, though, it's going to stop here.
Defensively for the Bills, I don't think that's actually going to combat what the Chiefs do already.
Yeah, I guarantee you, Pete would get down on his knees for that.
G'day Gridiron.
I love spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet man.
I love spreading my legs.
Twice a week, all season long on the Aussie Gridiron Network.
In the 8th round, it's a double Kansas City. Straight away, Xavier Worthy goes to the guy who took Isaiah Pacheco. And then I was kind of wondering if Jordan Addison would get back to me. He doesn't. But there is another wide receiver I'm really keen on. And sadly, it's going to make Tay cry a little bit because he's been a little higher on him than everybody else. And I'm going to go ahead and take Calvin Ridley here.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I did drop him off a little bit. I mean, I was high on him
bit.
This year, I guess, even though obviously I don't want to talk Ward up too much because, I'm a Titans fan. I want to see him come and succeed, even irrelevant of fantasy. I just want to see him come in and have a good, solid rookie year. I just worry about, in general, what rookies do. Like, even the best rookies barely have 3,000 passing yards, and it's like, what does that mean for a wide receiver one on the Titans? I don't know. So I have my concerns a little bit, but Ridley's easily the best wide receiver.
And I don't think it's close. And I think they are going to be in a position where they're probably trailing a bit, and the targets will be there. And this is it. Opportunity is the name of the game. You don't have to be the most skillful or talented person in the world if you get opportunity. And Khalil Shakir is a good example of that. He is taken by Manjot next. And again, is he an exquisite wide receiver? No, but he's on the field a lot. He gets passes. He scores points. Shakira going at round 8, pick 4. Pulls Taylor back onto the clock. I'm going to quickly recap your team here, Tay, while you think. You've got Jameer Gibbs and Amon Ross and Brand. You've got AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Jones, and Ted McMillan was your 7th round pick. 8th round? Where are you going?
I was looking at 2 guys very similarly that I often try and target even in 16-team mocks as my wide receiver 2. Khalil Shakir was one of them, so that was a good pick by Manjot. But there was kind of 2 guys together anyway that I don't think they both would have got back to me anyway. So I'm going to take the other one in, and he's one of the only wide receiver ones left. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers. I really like him, and I think with Geno coming to town, I really think he is the best receiver they have right now. And for a team that I think is, with obviously, Pete Carroll coming in, they're not just going to start just going to all their rookies. They're going to want their best wide receiver out there, and they're going to want to hit the ground running. So I actually really like Jacoby Myers this year. I think he's a great value.
Always talked him up. But, you've always been a fan, always.
Yeah, I'd have no issue with just putting him over even Tet in week 1 as my wide receiver 2 and just see how it plays out, because I feel like I know exactly what I'm getting out of Myers week to week. Like, I just don't see a drop-off coming.
Yeah. Now, Ian's got Justin Jefferson, Ladd McConkey, Terry McLaurin, and Devontae Adams in his first 4 rounds. Since then, he's got TJ Hawkinson, Baker Mayfield, and then Travion Henderson as his running back 1 in the 7th round. Ian, what are you grappling with?
A couple of running backs, actually. I'm tossing up a couple here. There's a couple of guys and one in particular who does actually get a lot of passes. And I think with a new head coach who is very much a brilliant offensive mind, I think DeAndre Swift is probably going to be a pretty good value pick down here in the 8th round.
Yeah, and then we see Jerry Jeudy, Chris Godwin, Roma Dunze, and Brandon Ayuk all go at the end of that round, and then Tony Pollard, Mark Andrews, and the new running back at Pittsburgh, Johnson and Cooper Kupp, all run in to end that. To start the 9th round to bring Ian back on the clock. So 9 rounds in, 8 picks. You've got 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers, a quarterback, and a tight end. What do you do with your ninth, mate?
You know what? I'm going to take a QB too. So I would want a bit of assurance just for Baker Mayfield as well, and I'd probably want to pair him with a guy who can have a fair bit of upside, and obviously in that when you go on QB two, would probably be a guy who might get a lot more rushing yards on some weeks other than passing yards. So Kyler Murray, QB two. Manjot hadn't had a QB yet either, so that was the other consideration was who was Manjot going to pick. But I have left one glaringly obvious guy out there for Manjot right now, who I'm pretty sure he might take.
It is getting to that stage. I haven't taken a pass catcher since you went 5 rounds of 4 receivers and a tight end. Since then, 4 rounds of 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. Yep. And this is the thing. Your draft will take you to weird places. Taylor now, after taking 2 straight wide receivers, what direction are you aiming in your 9th round, Tay?
Well, this is just one of the situations of letting it come to me. And I kind of looked at this guy a couple of rounds and thought, where is he going to go this year? And I think I'm just going to go the value. Like, even if you look at his ADP, we're already like 22 picks past where his rough ADP goes. So I'm just going to take Travis Kelce.
This is sweet.
I don't feel like I need old Travis Kelce for this pick. Like, I'm getting him in the 9th round. Like, if anything, I could stream the position behind him if he is a pumpkin and he's just done. Like, I just think that's too much value to pass up.
In other years, you could have taken him in the 1st round or at the start of the 2nd round, and people would have gone, okay.
Yeah, no worries.
And here you are in the 9th.
How the mighty fallen.
It's absurd, isn't it? So we put Manjot back on the clock now, and he's got Amon Ra and Tyreek Hill as his starting wide receivers, McCaffrey and Mixon as his starting running backs, George Kittle as his tight end, and then to fill up his bench, Devonta Smith, maybe the flex, could be Quentin Judkins, or it could be Khalil Shakir. We're at his 9th round pick, and I feel like it's probably going to be quarterback, and I feel like, Ian, you were kind of foreskinning a name.
Oh, he did.
I thought it was probably going to be Brock Purdy.
I thought he was going to Debo.
No, that's not what I thought he was going. I thought he'd go Jared Goff. To be honest.
Interesting.
I thought he'd go the Goffense. But he went Tyron Tracy. I don't know if I would have done that. I think other than Team 9, I don't think I could have seen anybody before Manjot got back around again that would have taken Tyron Tracy at running back.
You never know, though, with the computers, I suppose, but...
No, definitely not. I've gone ahead and just taken Najee Harris and then kind of immediately thought, probably ETN would have been better value, but I've already got a pass catcher from Jags. So I'm taking Najee Harris, expecting he's going to get the lion's share of the early running work in LA before we see Omari and Hampton come in and take a bunch. So I kind of feel like I'm kind of cheating the system. They're getting what I consider to be a starting running back for the first 5 or 6 weeks as my running back 4. And it gives me this wonderful freedom because I don't need to scramble for a tight end. There's tons of them. I've got a quarterback, and I can kind of feel free to go and just take any position that I think is the best kind of upside shot available. And I think that guy at the moment is Juwan Jennings.
Yep, love it.
I mean, I would never take Juwan Jennings, but at this stage, my draft has led me there. It's like, who here at the moment could give me radically the most points? Deebo Samuel gone, George Kittle will eat a bunch, McCaffrey we don't know what he's going to look like, and Brennan Oak may start the year on par. Boom, 10th round.
No, I like it. I would have taken him for sure if it got to me. I just feel like, again, the way that I've sort of built my team, guys like that are sort of perfect. There's Jared Goff.
I think it's Jared Goff because Manjot was right after me, and I think he would have been pissed I took Juwan Jennings if he didn't already have like 16 49ers on his team. So that's how he wraps it out. And Ian was fucking dead right. Of course you were.
I think he loves Brock Purdy as a player. I don't think he'd take him as a fantasy player. I think he believes more in the offense and just the way that the Lions are built in terms of fantasy. They're a fantasy freight train, the Lions, and they were last year as well. So it is just sort of, I've got no reason to believe that they're not going to be again. I
can't wait to see how they come to market this year, given the changes in the building.
Yeah.
Shay, I need you to describe to me what's going on in your mind here in the 10th round.
It was kind of like what you spoke about. I didn't really feel the need I had to go either running back or wide receiver. It was just generally who I sort of thought was the best value in that spot. Sometimes if I see a guy that I do like at value at running back, it might lend me to go over wide receiver because I just feel like you can take better wide receiver shots super late. Whereas like right now, I think running back is really, really starting to get thin. So I took Javonte because I just think he's the lead back for the Cowboys week 1. He gets that first snap. And I just think we saw what we got out of Rico Dowdle last year. And I think Javonte could be at least as good as him. So if I'm getting anywhere near Rico Dowdle for that value, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, we talked about that in the old faces and new places a little bit, but also when it came to our ranking show, I really brought up that I thought he was being left for dead. Yep. And I like that you're on board, mate. I do.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I said no on our first show, and then that was because I thought they would draft someone, and they didn't. They did basically punted in the draft again at running back. So I thought, you know what, Javonte is narrow value to me.
There you go. Now, Ian, who hasn't taken a pass catcher at all since the 5th round, although he had 4 wide receivers and a tight end in those first 5 rounds, is now in the 10th round, having taken 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs. Where are you looking?
Oh, shit. Apart from taking a kicker just to piss Tay off, I went Matt Golden. Because I'm going the extra wide receiver. Plus, I like to get to the back end of these rounds, and I kind of like to play around with some of the rookies who have some really good upside.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I'm just going down the rookie list, and I'm looking at some guys that were still left out there that were very, very high in the draft. And they're around there. You know, I think Matt Golden was a superb pick by the Green Bay Packers, and I think he'll end up as wide receiver 1 there. So yeah, that's a pretty easy rookie pick for me. And similarly, this next pick, there's 2 guys that I'm sort of choosing between. And what have I got? I've got 2 running backs already. I've got like 1,000 wide receivers. So I think I'm going to go another rookie, and I'm going to go the running back and really try and the guy who I think is actually going to outdo Banjot's Tyron Tracy pick, and it's Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, and after you've taken Matt Golden, Jaden Reed goes, and we don't know what he's going to look like at the start of the year. Ricky Pearsall and Justin Herbert, Deebo Samuel wrap out that round. Njoku comes back around to start the next round. Jalen Warren, Josh Downs, and Evan Engram before your pick, Cam Scatterbo. And I was wondering, when you said, I'm looking down the list of rookies, I know you needed a 3rd running back. I was hoping you'd take Cam Scatterbo because I do think his upside is genuinely there. He's literally in the position that Ty Tracy was in last year.
I think the Giants are in a position in terms of the NFL where they're going to have to really push the envelope, and they're going to have to really throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I think if they throw Cam Scatterbo out there a whole bunch, he's going to stick.
Even if he doesn't, it's not going to cost the world, right? So, and they're a big market. It's been a long time since the Giants and the Jets have been anything. So it's time they had a crack. Hey, Tay, you did something I think is predictable, but can you tell us why?
I think it's pretty good.
Super predictable for anyone that's listening on this pod. Every time we preview the Falcons in fantasy every single year, I always talk about Drake London. I go, you know what? I'd rather just take Darnell Mooney about 100 rounds later because I just think there's so much value to him. They've already come out and said that he's going to be a huge part of the offense again. I just think you're just getting, honestly, 80% to 90% of the numbers you get from Drake London about 9 to 10 rounds later. I just think he's just such a value every year, and he has that many games where he has 10, 11 catches. I just think his value in every draft.
If I was a Matty C in this position right now, I think I know what I would do, considering who's sitting there right now and what the team looks like. So I'm interested to see what you do here.
Because I'm in a position where I've got 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and my quarterback, but no tight end. And I'm looking at my tight ends going, the one tight end I like the most, I'm in no hurry to get. So I'm looking at the other positions, and I kind of feel like this is a great chance, and I don't know why I would do this, get a 6th wide receiver right now. But I feel like there's a great chance some of the other guys will come back around me, and I'm just going to take Emeka Egbuka at Tampa Bay because I'm into their offense, and I actually think Emeka is going to get a little bit of a run ahead of Jalen McMillan. I think I've been hearing good things about it. Tyler Warren goes Ramondre Stevenson, and then a couple of quarterbacks to start the 12th round. Brock Purdy and Caleb Williams goes, which is great because the one player I kind of liked at running back is still around, and he has come up earlier. It's Jordan Mason. And I kind of feel like I'm in the position where I can just take a wild upside shot with my 5th running back. So I go and take Jordan Mason, who's now backing up Aaron Jones at Minnesota. And it puts Manjot back on the clock, who took Michael Pittman before me last round.
Nice pick. Egbuka's nice pick, Matty, but I personally would have gone Tyler Warren there. Just because he will be a pass catching force, a la Brock Bowers last year, and obviously you needed that tight end. And then it was taken immediately after you. I was wondering whether you were hoping he might get back around after you got Egbuka, but
I just don't love him.
I just think there's nothing else.
Loveland.
There's nothing else going on at the Colts, and it's going to be Daniel Jones, and it'll be just like full on just running attack, and I think Tyler Warren is just going to be the guy. Anyway, sorry, Tay.
That's all right. I'm kind of like what you brought up earlier. I'm kind of going rookie hunting a bit. There's 2 that I really, really like, and they're right next to each other. But there's one that I'm super intrigued, and I just think he's got. Well, I guess both of these guys have the position straight away to be wide receiver 2 on their team. I really like Jaden Higgins.
You do.
There's just something about him. Honestly, I don't know if it's just the last name, but he gives me T. Higgins vibes. Like, he's a big body. I just think he's going to be on the outside of Nico Collins this entire year. I just think there's a path for him straight away. And if Stroud's anything like he was in his rookie season, I just think there's an opportunity there for him.
I was definitely close to taking Nico Collins at 108 instead of Puka as well, because you've talked me around on Houston, mate.
Hot and bothered over Nico. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just looking at a bunch of guys right now, and I can afford to take a bit more of a punt, and I am going tight end, and I am going Fergie Ferg.
Second tight end.
Fergalicious. Yes.
That's Jefferson, McConkey, McLaurin, Adams, Hawkinson, Mayfield, Travion Henderson from New England, DeAndre Swift, Kyler Murray, Matthew Golden, Cam Scatterbo, and Jake Ferguson is Ian's team. After that pick, Jordan Love, Tajay Spears, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft will go to finish the round. And then on the way back, Keon Coleman, Rashad White, Colston Loveland, and Rico Dowdle all face a new place at Carolina, brings us back to Ian in the 13th round.
I really want to go another tight end.
After this one.
I really want to go another tight end just for the hilarity of it, because I don't like any of the running backs that are sitting there now. And you're right, there really was. There's just a gap in running back.
I believe there is, yeah.
Where it
gets hard.
You can do what I've done where you can take wide receivers early and then go those running backs. But if you really do leave it just a touch too late, there is nobody. You are in a wasteland.
I think it's the second wasteland too, because I'm like Pacheco, Pollard, Johnson, Tracy, Judkins. I don't care about any of them. They're all nothing to me.
That's what doing mocks is for, though. It's like seeing it's to win. But that's how you find this stuff out. That's how you come up with your own plans for later when you're actually doing your teams.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. I think I'm going to go one of the only pass catchers I believe in New Orleans and go Rashid Shaheed.
I love that guy. He's a 12-point play waiting to happen every minute.
Is he?
He might score you 4 points this week. He might score you 26.
He's the guy guy had a mind meld with Derek Carr. Like, I don't know what it was. Like he's like the one guy that's pissed that Carr retired. Like, it's weird.
Now, Tay is in a position here where he is looking at upside shots. What do you got, Tay?
My other guy I was looking at was Trey Harris, who I was looking at with Higgins, and he did get to me, but I just thought, I might build my running back room a bit further, and you and I have talked about this guy just being an absurd value and still believing he has something to give this Commanders team. And I just thought Austin Eckler in the 13th, being a pass catcher in a full PPR league, I just think it's too much value.
It's way too much value. And I'm now in the position where I'm finally going to take a tight end. And it's one of two guys, right? There's really only two people here who are much chop at all. And I've been desperate to sing the Kyle Pitts song. And you know what? I feel like every other year I've hated this guy and I've been freaking right. And I just want to keep the song going and pick the 1 year where he's okay, where I've stuck my neck out. I'm taking him at tight end 17 here or something like that. Everyone's got freaking two tight ends pretty much, and here I am taking my first. So I've taken Kyle Pitts as my tight end. Tank Bigsby and Jordan Blue at Dallas, who's the rookie there, go right after me. And Dallas got it, who was the other guy who I think was obvious, Marvin Mims Jr. at Denver before it comes back around to me. And this is really, we're at the spot now where, aside from kicker and defense, we've kind of taken our last upside shots. And to me, mate, there's a whole bunch of, if people want to go ahead and take additional quarterbacks, I'm not doing that. I'm starting to look down the list of who I think, if something happened to somebody, would become super valuable. And I'm just going to take Tyler Algier because Bijan was like the second overall pick in our draft. And Tyler Algier stands to gain the most who's left from anybody. If something happens to Bijan Robinson, he would all of a sudden be all right because I think he's got standalone value anyway. Isaac Uorendo, I think, is also in a similar position in San Francisco, and that's exactly who Manjot takes after me. Puts Tay back on the clock before you take pretty much the last valuable player, and we'll start to recap teams and we'll start to talk about some of the tricky decisions we had to make and where we think we might change what we did or where we're pretty happy to double down on what we did. Who are you looking at, Tay?
Yeah, I mean, Trey Harris got there again. He's just the guy I've been looking at, sort of taking a shot on as a rookie. I'm sort of looking. Running back actually still has some guys I at least have some interest in, like
some meat on the bone.
J.K. Dobbins, obviously, if the news going to Denver, I think is actually not the worst. I actually think Ford's going to be involved in Cleveland. Like, I don't think he just.
We talked about that this week. You and I, we talked about this.
Like, I like Judkins, but I think Ford being the incumbent's at least going to be involved. I think I'm just going to take a shot on Harris, though. I just think going the rookie wide receiver. I liked him in the draft, so I think he's got an opportunity there at Chargers.
Yeah, 100%, right? Because who's in front of him, right? Lad McConkey, probably Quentin Johnson. Anyone else? I mean,
even the fact you said Quentin Johnson as the second one gives me hope. Like, is the guy fucking cold,
right? And then whatever mix of tight ends you want, because they went and signed Tyler Conklin, I'm pretty sure that we're going to see either Big Montana or Hayden Hurst return there in some capacity. I mean, gee, it doesn't really fill your heart with a lot of, fear that there's too many targets getting gobbled up elsewhere, does it?
No, not at all.
So puts Ian on for you're going to do kicker, aren't you? You're just going to fucking blow it up, aren't you?
I'm going to pick another guy who found a new home this week, and if he comes off in any way, shape, or form like he was in the past, he will be an absolute beast. He's the ultimate locker room guy. It is the Chubb. The Chubb. Nick Chubb.
A late dick joke. Woo, woo.
Give me a Chubb.
That finishes the mock draft.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
This feels the opposite of being picked in the sack. Let's fucking go.
You know how some years I'm like, fucking Taylor doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, we're normally called major wankers instead of rankers. So, yeah, that can be our tagline.
In a car in the dark with a full erection.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Hey, Ian, I'm going to run down your team here. You've got, excitably from the top, Justin Jefferson, Lad McConkey, Terry McLaurin, and Devontae Adams as your first 4 picks. Then went and took TJ Hawkinson, 5 pass catches. How about that? Baker Mayfield, Travion Henderson, and DeAndre Swift before coming back and taking Kyler Murray. Then goes back into the wide receivers with Matthew Golden. I wish that was my surname. Cam Scatterbo. I also wish that was my surname. Jake Ferguson, Rashid Shaheed, Nick Chubb. I also wish that was my surname. Pittsburgh Steelers and Will Reichard. You went super heavy on the pass catches. Are you happy with that outcome, or is there something you might now, looking at how this board played out, is there anything change there? Because it's kind of the beautiful thing about mock drafts. We hit refresh, the team's gone. But did you learn something from it that you liked or that you would change?
When you guys started, when we were having the chat earlier about zero RB tactic, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give that a go and see what it looks like. And I am not unhappy with the way that went. I actually think that was really good. I think I've got 4 really good wide receivers in my top end up there.
Yes, you do.
Plus then Hawkinson. And then I don't hate the running backs that I ended up with Travion Henderson and DeAndre Swift. And then, like I said, pairing it with Scatterbo. And then I just started taking shots after that, And Baker Mayfield as a QB, I'm pretty high on. And, I joke about Kyler Murray, but he's got that rushing upside. So I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. And I don't hate that theory of zero RB.
Okay, so endorsing the zero RB, I kind of love that too because I definitely don't have the stones for it. Tay has gone ahead and taken Jameer Gibbs, AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Hurts to stack it up with AJ Brown, then Aaron Jones, Ted McMillan, and Jacoby Myers before Travis Kelce forced you in the 9th round, goes back and takes Javonte Williams, couple of receivers here with Darnell Mooney and Jaden Higgins before Austin Eckler and Trey Harris wrap out the last guys on the bench. Tay, firstly, happy with how those first few rounds pan out because that's hugely important, clearly. And then are there any decisions you made where you kind of look at it now and you kind of wish I had that back?
No, I'm pretty happy with how it went. Obviously, Jalen Hurts getting to the middle of the 5th often doesn't happen in a 10-team league. To get that stack of AJ Brown, I was pretty happy with. I kind of did the opposite of a zero running back strategy, having 3 of my first 4 picks be running backs, but I'm super happy with all 3 of them. Look, is there a world that maybe I could have looked for my wide receiver 2 a little bit earlier? Maybe, but I just think that the way I've built everything else, I think I'm just going to be able to find guys that I'm happy to sort of plug and play there at the wide receiver 2 between Tet, Jacoby Myers and Darnell Mooney. I think all 3 of those guys I'm going to be fine playing as my wide receiver 2, especially if I've got, the depth at other positions. So, yeah, I'm actually pretty stoked with how that turned out. And obviously getting Kelce in the 9th was a kind of absurd.
That's crazy to me. And I think, we have always been proponents of be the first to get your tight end and get a positional advantage at a onesie, or just wait and get 90, 80, 75% of the same scoring from somebody lower who can just win you a week and tip your team over 3 or 4 times in a season. And to get the guy who you could make both arguments for in the 9th round, I think is really great. Mate, I got to the point where I really am not someone who would usually take a rookie running back so high. So for me to take Gianti in the 2nd is a bit of a leap of faith for me. And I did say this earlier, when I got to the stage where I was going to take McCool, there was a big part of me that has kind of been drinking the Taylor Kool-Aid about Nico Collins. And I almost bloody clicked Nico Collins, which I think I would have got a round of applause from Taylor from, which never happens.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for joining us. We're going to let you get inside and get warm. But continued success for G'day Gridiron, and wish Nick all the best from us too, because he's going to be representing not just AGN, but also G'day Gridiron and Australia in the Outbacks campaign against the Kiwis soon.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, mate. Yeah, it'll be we're in for a good season on G'day Gridiron. We've got a pretty solid lineup. We've got a lot of good ideas coming from the boys week after week. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the next couple of weeks with some things. I even have some sneaky fun for the boys the next time all 4 of us are in a room. I've told them I have a game. And it's a draft. It's a draft. But I'm not telling them what they're drafting or how yet. So I'm going to give it to them live or on air in one hit. Said, this is who you've got to pick from and this is what we're doing. So,
Tay, how do you get seated at that table? You love drafts.
Oh, mate, I'll draft anything. I'll draft my favourite kids if I have to. I just want to say again, thanks, Ian. Like I said, we're really starting to get in the nitty-gritty. I know things are still really super early for fantasy, but that's why giving G'day Gridiron a listen is just, it's great timing. These guys are talking about stuff that's probably a little bit more relevant right now than we are in the fantasy space. We just wanted to sort of get in front of it. But having you on, we're going to start getting guests roll in. It's just really exciting for the network. So everyone give just all the podcasts that we have on there a listen because they're all amazing. I think it's really good timing for us. Obviously, having the NFL come to Australia next season, I think listening to an Australian, born and bred podcast, I think is really, really good for a lot of Aussies out there that are into NFL. And it's good timing for us to sort of get in front of that game that's in a year and a half's time or whatever. So I think for anyone that wants to join our community, I think we're all going to head down for that game. And if we could all catch up, it would be awesome. But yeah, I just want to say thanks, Ian. Another huge congratulations to Nick. We're all so happy for him. And, for him to get that, for anyone who doesn't know Nick, he's on the G'day Gridiron podcast and he's been playing gridiron for a while for South Australia and he's just made the Australian team. So we're all super proud of him. And yeah, big shout out to Nick again. But yeah, thank you again for coming on, Ian. Thank you again, Matty, for hosting tonight. And yeah, can't wait for all the episodes coming up.
Absolutely. What I can't wait for as the last thing, Matty, is 2 weeks' time. I am going to be face to face with Matty C.
It's going to be so good. I've never been in the same room as this man at the same time, even though we've worked together for 3 years now.
Sword fight.
So Matty C and I might sword fight behind the bleachers. We see how we go. We're going to be doing some interviews at the Hunter ACT game in Newcastle on June 22nd.
Come on down.
Everywhere. If you come on down, if you're around the Newcastle area and somewhere in there, come and see some quality local gridiron. And yeah, it'll be amazing. Manjohn's going to be
I'm wearing their shirt today.
Manjon will be calling the game. So we're all in. So
more like a sewing needle fight for you two.
It depends how cold it is today. If it is right now, it's going to take a while to find it. And then do everything in reverse.
By the way, it got a lot of work out today. Those who were playing the Dick Joke drinking game, I'm so sorry for your local emergency health service providers.
Please let us know how many deep you got or when you lost count.
It's going to be like Booney's tinnies on the way to the Ashes tour in like 91 or whatever it was when he had like 52 tinnies on the flight. It's going to be like that. That's going to be the count. It's going to be up there.
Yeah, that's when that's visions of when Tay and I finally get together.
Yeah, my plan is to do far more of that when we're in Melbourne for the NFL. Put it that way.
All right. We're going to let Ian go and have a cold trickle. That's a throwback to the first.
Oh, yes. Well done.
And we'll see you all later. Hooroo!
Arrivederci!
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home for NFL and Australian gridiron content. Discover everything the network has to offer, including G'day Gridiron, Pastry Press, NFL, and Aussie Gridiron Today. Buy merch and win free stuff. Visit the mothership at linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Hooroo!